Vanakkam. Today we are going to see how to establish client-server communication using Java programming language. I'm going to address two learning objectives in this module. At the end of this module, you'll be able to understand the concepts of computer communication using sockets and also to develop communication between client and server using Java programming language. The outline of this module goes like this. We start with basic introduction about client-server communication. Then basic Java classes followed by sample programs for client and server and quiz to practice. This diagram shows the basic client-server communication. It consists of client machine connected through media to server machine. Now let me introduce what the client is. Client is a basic computing device which will have application process running over it. This application process or application program is responsible for initiating connection request so that client could contact server. Now coming to the server, server is again a computing device which will have a special application process running over this machine. This server will have the data or resources meant for client, serving the client. So if there is a connection request coming from the client, server will be in a position to respond back. In order to have this communication process to happen, we have a standard communication protocols available in Internet Software Stack, which we call TCP/IP protocol stack. Network services of this network software are used for making connection requests from client machine to server machine. Now we need to keep remember about the function of socket also. Socket is a programming interface for transport protocols such as TCP and UDP, which use ports to map incoming data to a particular process running on a particular computer. So socket is the combination of two addressing information. One is IP address information, another is port number information. Now port number is responsible for identifying particular application process or application protocol. IP address is used to uniquely identify a particular computer in a global internet world. Now let me introduce some Java classes used for socket programming. Key classes in creating client-server programs are TCP sockets, classes at TCP sockets and classes at UDP sockets. Two primary classes available in TCP sockets are server socket, which is used at server side, and socket used at client side. Datagram socket and datagram packets are the key classes used for creating UDP sockets. Then we are going to see a sample program at server side. Your Java programming will have the basic structure, which will start with importing some packages and then defining main method, then body of the program, which consists of a list of objects. So in this particular program, we need to import two different packages. One is net package, another one is IO package. Here we are making use of server socket class and socket class, which are available at net package. Net package is responsible for network programming, especially for client server communication model. And we are going to make use of another a package called IO package, which is responsible for creating input stream and output stream for having data transfer from one machine to another machine. After defining the packages, after importing these two packages, we need to define the class name or file name by using the syntax public class TCP server. So TCP server is the class name or file name. Then we need to define main method by using access specifier public static void main string arguments throws exception. Here exception handling mechanism is being considered as the important property of Java programming language. This is responsible for handling runtime error or some logical error during program execution. The next step in server program is to create a server socket object. The syntax for creating this object is server socket SS is equal to new server socket of 3060. So here we are using new keyword to generate an object in the name of SS. and the value we are passing at the server socket argument is port number. That means server is ready with the particular port number 3060. Now we need to have a great care in defining the port number, because we have 16 bits of information to define a particular port number, so that we could have 2 power 16 different port numbers defining 65,536 different applications. And port range from 0 to 1023 is used to define default port numbers. So the port number we pass for server socket should lie beyond the value of 1023. And then we can have some print statement by using system.println. Server is ready, server is ready to receive, etc. Then we need to create another socket. This is for a client, because socket is the client side socket. We are using client socket as server side. This is because whenever a client request coming from the client, your server has to accept, and you need to create another one socket for that particular client. For example, server is a machine which is responsible for serving 2 or more number of clients, so that it need to have 2 or more number of client sockets, so that it could have data transaction among those clients when they send request. Then we need to define data output stream, because now we are going to make use of this server program as a transmitter program. That means we are going to send some data to client side. So we need to define some data, and then we need to send those data. Now data is transmitted through socket in the form of byte stream. So we are going to make use of a class called data output stream and a method get output stream. So DOS is the object name of data output stream. Now we need to define a message to transmit from server side to client. The message we are sending is hello client. So this is defined as a string data type. So we need to create a string object in the name of str. This string object cannot be directly transmitted through data output stream. So it needs to be converted into bytes. It needs to be converted into bytes using write bytes method. So string is being converted into byte stream by using write bytes method, by using the syntax dos.writeBytes of str. Then finally we need to close the socket. Coming to the client side, again we need to import net package and IO package, and need to define class name, main method, and we need to handle exception by throwing those exception. You can specify the exact exception type like IO exception, unknown host exception, etc. If you do not know the correct exception type, you can just specify throws space exception. Next step, just the important step at client side, is to create socket. The syntax for creating client side socket is socket space socket name s1 is equal to new socket of localhost 3060. Here the parameters we are passing at socket class is important. At the server side, we are defining only the port number at server socket object. 3060 is the port number of server. So at server side, we are just defining the port number, but at client side, we are defining two information. One is host name and IP address, and another is port number. These two addressing informations are for server, because socket, which is defined at client side, it is the responsibility of the client to identify a server and to have connection. So we need to pass the IP address and host name, IP address or host name of server and port number of server. Here localhost is the specific host name which we are using here, because the same machine with which we are working can be used both for server and client. So if you use for programming purpose, if you use the single machine both for server and client, you can make use of a specific host name called localhost. Always we need to pass the IP address of the server here. Then we need to pass the port number here. This is the value 3060. The same value we pass for server socket here needs to be used here. Then only both server and client can be connected. Then we need to define data input stream, because here client program is going to act as a receiver program. So whatever the server is sending has to be received by this client program. For that purpose, we are going to make use of data input stream. So you need to make clear about these stream classes. Data output stream, which was used at a server program to send data. And here at client side, we make use of data input stream, which is responsible for receiving data. Here we use get input stream method. Now again, data is in the form of byte stream, which cannot be directly displayed by using system.out.println. So we need to convert byte stream into string by using readline method. So this syntax is used to convert your byte stream into string data type. Now string object str, which has the message transported by server, it can be displayed at the client side. So whatever you are sending here as a message to client can be obtained at client side and could be displayed by using this statement. Then we need to close data input stream object and socket class. And these are the list of questions you need to practice. These questions are available at my Moodle website, my Genomio website. Make use of login credentials provided to you, and you should earn marks through this quiz. So do practice. Thanks for listening.